Hello and welcome to Mimi's Sketchbook. I have been reading through Paul David Tripp's devotional, New Morning Mercies. And today, Paul Tripp made the statement, "He remains faithful even on your most unfaithful day." And that reminded me of a story, an event with my dog, Sweet Pea. Now, Sweet Pea was just a puppy, somewhere in one-ish. She was tall enough to be able to jump up on this fence and go wild and crazy every time I came home. And she looks kind of cute right here, but the rest of the time, she was a terror. She would dig up holes in the backyard. She dug up all the plants. And I mean, her holes weren't normal holes. They were like craters. It looked like the backyard had been bombed in a war. It was ridiculous. And with little kids and a new baby, I had had enough. And I told my husband, I can't take care of the kids, new baby, and a dog at the same time. So he said he knew somebody who had a horse farm, and there'd probably be lots of people coming through, and they'd find a good home for the dog. So the dog left, and things were quiet and peaceful. And day one went fine. And day two, I had gone out and I came home and there was no dog happy to see me. No one was jumping up and down, wild and crazy, to say, "Hey, I'm so excited you're home." And I went in the house and said, "Hello, everyone, I'm home." And nobody in the house seemed to be very happy I was home. Nobody was jumping out, gleeful, saying, "Mom, you're home. I'm so happy." And all of a sudden I realized the only person that was really excited, ever excited to see me come home, was my dog. And I had just given my dog away. Now, how crazy is that? Well, all of a sudden with this realization, I was pretty sick to my stomach. And so I called my husband and said, "Quick, get the dog back. I made a mistake." And he says, somebody came along and wanted the dog's gone. And I'm like, that can't be, you got to get him back for me. And he said, "I'll get the number, you'll have to call him." So anyways, I had to humble myself before this person who had taken the dog. And this person was not happy with me. But I really said I was so very sorry. I made a mistake. I was under a lot of stress. And wouldn't he please let me have my dog back? So he finally agreed to let me have the dog back. And I went out to pick up the dog. Now, the man did not even come out of his house. But I stood next to my car in the driveway. And my dog, my Sweet Pea, came around the side of the house and she came towards me, creeping along in a low bow, creeping with her belly along the ground. Now, I have never seen my dog do this before. But here she was coming to me, almost apologetic for her behavior. And I was apologetic to the dogs, and I was so sorry. Don't know what came over me. Well, the dog came home, and believe it or not, she never dug another hole in my backyard. I'm not sure what happened, but it seems we both came to an epiphany at the same time. Here's the trellis where the gate used to be. That's the vine that grows over the trellis. And the fence and the gate are now gone, but the honeysuckle vine that grows over the top of it is still there. Now, for those of you who don't know what a honeysuckle vine is, it's a native plant, but it's beautiful, but it is also very fragrant. So it's pink and yellows and oranges, and then the beautiful bright leaves. So I'm going to use this trellis and the fence to make a frame around Sweet Pea, and that just draws my eye to Sweet Pea as the star of the show. Sweet Pea is actually a she, but in this story, she represents the he in the one that remains faithful, even on my most unfaithful day. And of course, Paul David Tripp is referring to God, is so faithful. His love never changes, even when we become unfaithful. Boy, this is a story that I've always had to look back on and be humbled by and laugh about, but it is a pretty good story. Sweet Pea went on to lived a very happy life. I never gave her away again. I never was tempted to give her away. She grew into a lovely, obedient dog. So this is a close-up of the honeysuckle vine. And I am going to paint some enlarged ones on the right side to frame this message from Paul David Tripp. And I'm starting off with yellows, and this is the part of the flower that opens at the end of the pink trumpet. And these petals that flare up are yellow, and the center is, because it goes back into the trumpet, it's deeper color. And so that's going to be orange I put in. Now the trumpet itself is a pink. So here I'll put in some pinks, and I'm doing that by painting in a watered down pink and going back and touching that trumpet, those trumpets, with a dot of deep pink, and that color flows down the light pink. These are just a couple little bud type clusters I'm putting in. And so I grabbed a smaller brush now, and I'm putting in the very tiny, thin filament type part of the flower that hangs down below. And then adding a little more depth into the center to tie them together. Now, I left that in there to remind you, you have to, when you're working with watercolors, let the paint dry. I actually have a hair dryer close by, so I can just dry it with the hair dryer and speed things along. The leaves on the honeysuckle are roundish, so I am making some of them suggest that roundness. So when you're done with your painting, stand back, look at it, see what else needs to be done. I can see that it's a little light on the leaves here, so I'm just bolstering the color a little bit. Another trick you can do is to take a picture of your drawing and look at it through the lens of your phone or your camera, and the light areas or areas that need help will really pop out. So I want to thank you for joining me at Mimi's Sketchbook. I hope this was helpful and might encourage you to look into your stories, which might help illustrate what you've been studying in the Bible. So thank you, and God bless.